All right, so this is back on our privacy. I don't like that feedback. All right, so moving back into the emotions, if you guys have any questions, then you can ask them. If you have anything you want to add, that would be great. The organs affected by the Aquarius moon are calf, the ankle, shin, Achilles heel, forearm, muscles, and thyroid hormones. So that's something to think about when you're going through the rest of the day. If you've had any of these aches and pains. I was working with someone yesterday and I picked up on her mother crying about her feet. And so I told her to go to a doctor because the mother is Aquarius. And so this energy is affecting her legs and her feet. So moving on, tomorrow the moon will be in Pisces, which can show favorable in areas of spirituality, organizational release and promotions, religious and spiritual evolution. And for those who have loads of Piscean energy, you also will have connections with favor, unseen favor. And what that means is that the next 2 days, Pisces, moon, Pisces rising, people that have 2 or 3 Pisces or energies of Pisces, like a stellium in one house, they could have some favorable days where they get inspirational downloads. They can get business connections or even financial blessings. Let's see. Yeah.
I had a question, Ms. Kim.
Yes.
When you were talking about emotional freedom or releasing the emotion, I mean, not emotional freedom, did you mean like releasing the emotion and releasing the emotion, or did you mean something else? Like freeing yourself from the emotion?
Could you speak up a little bit? I couldn't hear you very clear. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
I think so.
I was saying, when you were saying about freeing your emotions, were you talking about releasing them, or were you talking about something else?
Freeing your emotions, releasing them, yeah. But this energy calls for emotional upheavals. It could be that people have had emotional eruptions in the last 2 days because of feelings that they have, and some of the feelings are definitely coming from the inner challenges or inner critic that we haven't dealt with, or it's coming back up because Saturn is going retrograde as well as Pluto has been retrograde. So Pluto, I didn't write this in, but Pluto is going back into Capricorn. So some of the feelings that we had the beginning of the year up until about March, back to 2010 or 2009 will emerge again to find out or to show you whether you have mastered them. It reminds me of the strength card because I just did some readings, and I could see some issues or some conflicts that people will have to face concerning their strength. If they laid their strength down and they went back to their old ways, or if they've kept the strength and they've mastered the lion. If you If you master the beast, then you can stand up and pet his head. But if you haven't, then you will fear the beast when he comes into your presence. So I answered you, but I took you into more because Saturn is about father energy and it's going retrograde. It also can point to, and this is in the notes a bit, not father, but it can point to father issues that you have, because Saturn is going back to a certain place. I don't know the degrees because I didn't look at that, but I know it's going retrograde in about a week. So some people may have to look at something that their father went through within the last 3 or 4 months. It could be back to 2020 that they're looking at things. They could find out things from 2020. And also, I would think I'm looking at 20 years ago where Saturn was in retrograde, because Saturn is in a return for some people in Pisces. It's in a return for me. So there's things that I'm having to look at and say that I overcome them concerning authority, or my mom and dad, my own inner child issues, because it's my third house is also asking me, am I okay with my siblings? The communication that I give, am I okay with it, or am I shrinking back? Now, when we look at where Saturn is, let me take you all there. Saturn is in the 12th house. So for me, I'm born in the 10th house, which is Capricorn. So I'm counting over 1, 2, 3 to the 12th house. And in this 12th house, it's telling me that it has to do with endings, healings, closures, spirituality, solitude, karma, old age, afterlife, what's hidden, you see, limiting beliefs, subconscious. And so the father is Saturn. It can change positions with moon and with Cancer and Capricorn, depending on the one that has been predominant. But if you have a father, then you want to look at what you feeling at this point, because even those feelings, everyone can come to a place where there are unresolved issues that's coming up with that Aquarius moon energy, and it's the unresolved issues of yourself and you needing to be free from something that you're dealing with your father. It of course can be with the mother, but in most cases it's going to point to your father. And the reason why everyone is going to point to the father is because we're going back into Capricorn with Pluto. And Pluto was breaking down and transforming things in the 10th house. So someone that's a Scorpio would look at this being their third house, and they would deal with all of the third house circumstances, which can be good depending on their mindset, but they will also deal with career, long-term goals, structure, and status. If I used Jasmine's transiting chart and I said, okay, what is not if I said it, but if I described what is going to happen for Jasmine with Pluto going retrograde into Capricorn, what Jasmine will find is that Capricorn is her second house. So Capricorn next to her sun sign is her money house. And that means that she can excel even more in her career. She can set long-term goals even under this new moon in Mercury right now. What I want to do with my goals, her, and where I want to go. What is my structure with this? Saturn is structure, and that's why it's indicative to the father. Status. What status I'm looking at? Is it spiritual status that I want to transform into physical status or material? What is my reputation? You know, how do people see me? Am I authentic? That's important, because in the 10th house, as everyone has experienced it somewhere, but it's her second house, what she's experienced is different emotional changes that she's possibly grown through, or she will have to face again in some way with this next 6 months. And that's what everyone else has to deal with. There are some transits that people look at and they say, oh, I don't want to do that again. But that's just like dealing with the masses, what the masses say. You know, they're not looking at what they say. You know, everyone was afraid of Mercury retrograde, but when you look at Mercury, it gives you the ability to just look over stuff and say, let me do this over and do it right. And if you need to learn what's right, then you look at what's right and you do what's right, and or define what's right, because for some reason a lot of people don't know what's right. For instance, it's a lot of people that's really losing the mental grip with things, and it's because they're allowing like the air energy to take them back and not have any grounding. The air energy that we came into in Mercury with Gemini, you can't let yourself get lost in thought. You see, right here is the third house. It says the mind, thinking. The mind and thinking is good if it's productive, or if it's looking at productive type of thinking. Anytime you let people or things or places distract you from productive thinking, your harvest is gone. It's not a hard thing to think positive. It is hard when you practice at one point, but then you go back and you think like you used to. Your spiritual practice is to think as though they are. So the mind and thinking in the third house is what you're influenced by right now. People cannot sleep. They need to take something to make them sleep if it gets too bad. And so Mercury has had a big influence on us in the last 4 weeks. And if you haven't been sleeping, you need to really look at that, because it affects here your communication. Think communication. What I think, it comes out my mouth. This house is going to affect siblings and your social activity, your traveling, short distance, your education. If you are being pushed to teaching, it's going to bring accolades into that area and promotion. And so then, I look at it and I say, well, so some people will say, well, I don't know what I am, but then here you are with your thinking and this air energy, and this is for anyone. Even when I put it on YouTube, what's happening is that you don't know, so you don't get what you could know. You don't get it. You can't get anything with I don't know. It has to be something there in that space of air, because that's what we're dealing with. Gemini is an air sign that takes you up, and so you're just out there la-di-da-da, and you could be receiving information that's valuable to others, but then you doubt what you hear and what you see and what you're able to say and give to others. And so that doubt keeps creating us, the air of doubt. Now, if you are certain on one thing, I posted a card of intention today, and that intention should stay with you no matter what. The intention should be a focus that you have written down somewhere where you can remember when you're having hard days. All right, so your thoughts can manifest. And if someone says, I don't like what I see, what you see is what you've been looking at. What you're manifesting is what you've been looking at. Any questions?
No questions. I just thought when you said that Capricorn was in my second, or transit in my second house, it's really, really I'm getting that, because I was talking to Ashley
And I was telling her that I'm looking for more stability in my job. So therefore I'm looking at like a leadership position.
Right. And it may bring you that if you're showing up properly at your job, because in the last year or two, you've gotten 2 promotions. You in London now, and it could show up and give you another promotion, because it's not going all the way back, to the first degree of Capricorn. It would be like at 27. And that's around the time when you received your promotion with London. So you could get another one. But the thing is that when we look at things like that, people don't take it into consideration. Like, you're hearing what I'm saying, so this is your second house, and they don't take into consideration that I really need to plant as Pluto is moving back here, because Pluto, it will go in and tear down something to bring you into more. You see, it's a word in this 10th house. It says fame, and it also brings misfortune to people through karmic circumstances. So you plant for good. You let go of things in Sagittarius full moon, and now you have the benefit of planting good communication right here in the 3rd house. All of this here stuff, plus being mindful of the home environment. Now, this is Jasmine. I'm looking at her chart. Being mindful of your home environment right now, because that's your 4th house and the 12th house. And so whatever you sow in that home environment, you could come up with karmic issues or karmic positively. So there's some changes going to go on in the home. You want to focus on your home environment and let go of old stuff and endings that have to do with Saturn is there, the father. Let's see if I can look at somebody else's. So Leo's is their 1st house. Let's see how I want to look at this. And so their 6th house is always the money house. I brought that up before. The new moon is going to be in the 3rd house, but it's going to be, let me go with the 6th house. There's no moons or energy there. Saturn is going to be across right here, retrograde from Leo's 1st house. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Leos are going to be dealing with 8th house stuff, which is everything that we've talked about concerning environment, biological, social, and economic issues. And they will reflect in the father, because Saturn is there. Neptune is there also, which makes it can become a little bit foggy at times. But this is where, and I say foggy because even with Jasmine's 4th house, there's fogginess because Neptune is still in his own house. And what that means for both of y'all is that the issues that you work on with father and being it that it's 8th house for Leo's, Honora, and it's 4th house for Jasmine, it can become foggy. And you can also believe that you're right about what you see. There's some narcissistic tendencies that can come up here concerning the father or you and the father, right? Because it's a subconscious house. It is organization. It is corporation. It's hospital. It's all of those things. So, you can put that together, and I don't have to make a paragraph to tell you what could come up out of it. It is deeper revelations of spirituality. On the other side, it can tell Honora that there's healings and endings to economic issues if she's been doing the work. on herself. There could be changes in her spirituality where she elevates. All of this is predicated on us working on ourself, the self-development. And the financial issues that may have came up in the past could be coming to an end, depending on how you all look at things for the 8th house. I said economic, I said environmental. Saturn and Neptune there will make you pull your head out of the sand. Anyone that's been living in a place where they think that life is roses, high pie in the sky, and I hear MC Hammer, can't touch this. That could be kind of confusing, but God can see everything. And this is some information or back to the sins of the forefathers and generational karma that has to be cleared up for everyone with 12th house energy. So am I making sense? Anybody need questions before I go on?
You're making sense.
You're making sense.
Right.
No questions.
All right, so even if I tell you that it's your 4th house, Jasmine, or Honora's 8th house, the main thing is that karma is going to be on everyone that has, we're all having 12th house. All of us is going back and saying, yeah, making sure that we got all of that stuff cleared up. Because this is generational changes. So if I go and I look at Ashley's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this for her with Saturn going retrograde will be a philosophical time. She might begin to look at whether she's lied to herself about philosophy or religion and spirituality. She might begin to research whether she really believes what she's been buying into or even selling to people in this level. It could also take her into more business attributes or thinking of business and philanthropy. I'm looking at, but the other thing is that she will still deal with endings of who she is, just like you all were, to come into a new self, because it's 12th house. It doesn't matter. And all of the access of 12, 9, and 3 is what she will deal with. So her thoughts here in the 3rd house, all of this is going to 9th and the 12th, 9th, and the 3rd house is going to be working for her. And I bring that into play, but the spirit is bringing things into my mind. And that definitely is for communication. It's not a Saturn, it's a gosh, it's a Sagittarius energy that she'll be looking at, honestly, and it's expansive for her. The mind has to be quiet in order for her to get the information of new that the 12th house and the father energy is trying to give her. And it's a father energy that's coming in for her that is replacing some things with her father. Now, I am speaking intuitively. There's a replacing of some things with her father so she can get more of a healing that she needs at this time. So all of this here, travel, philosophy, all of that is working for her, but it's coming from the mental realm and the spirit. Now, the reason why it's so heavy on her is because the 3rd house is her 12th house. So her mother's birthday home, the 3rd house, is her 12th house. It's a very spiritual place for Cancers. So Shar was saying how she had, some enlightenment. And that is, to me, that's a normal thing because I know that placement. The 12th house will do that for you because it's going to show you more of the Gemini energy in the elevated state. It don't matter next month when you go into Cancer, if you didn't grasp that and work with it, you won't have those feelings and intuition the way that you did this month for Cancers. It will be gone. And the reason why is because you didn't work with it to cultivate that energy. Now, all of y'all could catch that. It's all about cultivating energy when you're in it. Just because Saturn takes you back over some stuff with your mother and father doesn't mean that it's a Grim Reaper type of thing. That's to make you better. So you're cultivating a better you so that your generations can be better. What does that mean? If you ever read the Bible, that's what the Bible is all about. It's about family. It's about changing the generations. People talk about karma, but karma is what we came into this life with, and we decided to make changes where it didn't work for us. So if I was given a destiny of poverty, I should be working to change that within myself, that energy, so that I can become prosperous. Of course, in the middle of poverty and prosperity, there's the part that a lot of people don't talk about. But this is the place where you're talking about it and you're saying, what keeps me from getting to prosperity? Listen, one thing about people is when they go to work, they're emotional about their money. They don't believe nothing else can give them money but working. That is a place to look at. Now, am I saying that's the only thing? No, I'm giving an example. Because if you believe in the middle of poverty and prosperity on one side, the only thing that can get you to a place of wealth is working, you might be imbalanced in your thinking, because working all the time can make you sick. Working needs to be balanced. Working, it can become very idealistic to slavery. You working to overcome something, but then you have a God or goddess thought process that you say you live in spiritually, yet you don't use that. You worship your work, but you ain't worshiping your higher power. You see, that's an example. Do I need any more? Should I give any more examples?
No, no more examples. It makes sense. And yeah, it's because those three houses that you spoke about, 12, 9, and 3, that creates a trine, right? I'm
Yeah.
trying to get better with my words. And personally for me, I've been working on stepping out of my fear of posting and talking about the things that I do know. And today I met with my broker and she said, Ashley, you have the knowledge. And I said, I know, I just get scared to post because I don't want somebody to be combative. And she said, well, if you're uncomfortable, understanding all of this, and that is my mind and what comes out. Because if I think I'm not confident and I don't know what I'm saying, it sounds that way when it comes out. So I'm getting it. I'm understanding.
Yeah, this the mind communication, and when you go over to travel wisdom, if you look at those three houses only, that's why I brought up this chart. I said, well, maybe this will be easier because they'll be able to look at things that work for them. Your 12th house is telling you that you can be in a good place for good endeavors socially, in your neighborhood, having to do with education or even teaching. Also long distance, I mean short distance travel, but travel is in your chart for this season because your 9th house even reflects it. So even at this time, there could be more traveling that's coming up. Education on a larger, expansive scale is also there, because in the ninth house is sitting right there. And it has to do with religion, and they call it cross-cultural. When I look at religion, I look at how religious I am through the day and my practices as well. So you might become more consistent with practices and how you plan your life out. When I look at religion, I see it in a practice. I don't just see it as pointing at the church. So I think it's important for us to look at that as well, because religion doesn't lead us to anything but a fall of a legion spirit, or to understand that we have a daily practice. And that's what it's supposed to take us to, a daily practice where we become healthy and wealthy in our soul. The soul is who we are every day. It's who we're coming into on a higher level. It has nothing to do with how much we go to church or how much we do not go to church. So that, religion is what I practice. How do I practice my finances? How do I practice, paying off debt? And how do I practice thinking about it? How do I practice living ethically? Because that's right here. Now, this ninth house is Jasmine's first house. So if she practiced ethics and philosophy, practice every day that I just gave you, and also the ethics is very important. The ethics. What does ethics take us into? Some people will say, well, I'm ethical at work. Are you ethical at home? Because the first house is her, it's like her I am. So she got to recognize ethics within herself. That is, and why I'm there is because it's a lot of Sagittarius energy still going on right now. Honora's in her first house is 5, and this puts her at 5. So this is not only the ninth house, travel and philosophy or higher learning education, it also puts her in the need of practice daily, because again, religion is not just about going to church and your spirituality. See, if you don't have a practice every day on how you orchestrate your day, then your spirituality is not in order, because your day is where your steps are ordered. How do they get ordered? By you saying something about order my steps. If I say order my steps in the Lord, then that means that I'm asking for a daily consistent practice of how I live. So even though someone is in the ninth house and they got energy there, romance and all of that may not work well for them if they have not got their spiritual practice of what they do and how they do it every day in order. The only reason why you would practice all of these things on this wheel is because you're in the middle right here of this hole, and you are the one that sets the tone for the order of your life as this wheel turns. The show said, as the world turns, this is your world. And if you are not able to see that there's things out of alignment, say in the first house as a Leo, with what you think, how you feel about yourself, because it says self-expression, drama, there could be drama that you gave as a younger person, or you may not have gave it, and then you get older and you were quiet when you were younger, and then you start giving drama as you're older, and it's not positive drama. It means that you're trying to get something out of your system that was never paid attention to. But then that drama also can turn into plays. It also says that, that idea of who she is, loves creativity and children. And so she spends a lot of time with her children, which is on point. That's her identity. But one of the things that she would have to also remember is to get an identity for herself. Because if she don't, then the spiritual practices won't do anything for her. And that's, just a little bit of how we see things and how we look at the chart. Because the 5th house is her first I am. That's her I am house. The 9th house is Jasmine's I am house. The 4th house is Ashley's I am house. But if we transit it, then what we find is the 1st house is the 4th house. It's the 1st house, but it's 4th house for Ashley. And so she's always trying to be about people's business in her home life and be the matriarch right now. That's okay. I'm making a joke, but she can't help it. She's very nurturing. I think that Honora is too. So Ashley's money house is right here in Honora's 5th house, creativity with children. At some point, even now, Ashley might find that she want to go back and work with kids again, all of that dance studio stuff. And it's right here though, children, and I think me and her talked about it. So you guys might get caught up in, well, I was doing this. Now I don't know what I want to do. That's because the energy is changing from house to house. You go with the flow. There will always be a constant of what you do. Like Jasmine is all about travel because that's her first house. That's her identity. If she asks me, should she get a house right now? I would say no, not unless you're a millionaire and that's just what you want. Why? Because she's nomadic, as her name says. That's the bottom line. Any questions? Yeah. If there's no questions, and you guys understand everything, I'm going to, your planting of your Gemini energy, the new moon, here it's, oh, I did not bring up, I don't, I want to just go into the Saturn return and what I did right about 2020. I believe that Honora and I and someone else that we have talked to, this was in 2020 when the pandemic came up. Now, this air quality issues that they having from Canada, that is not a fire. That is something else. And so I encourage you all that when your kids, even as you are going about your day now, begin to look at wearing masks again, because I know that I've talked to people in Virginia and Washington, and that smoke is all the way down there. So they saying, I don't believe that smoke.
I was literally in Ashley, like when I got back from London, I was in Ashley, I was like, I landed and I didn't realize until I got home that they were saying that the fire or the smoke was from Canada was bothering us. And I was telling her, I was like, as soon as I landed in New York, my throat started bothering me. But I started adding mullein leaf to my water and it's gotten better. And I was like, how is it worse in Maryland? How's it worse in Maryland and DC? And we're nowhere near the Canadian border.
Right.
Because yesterday it was worse here than it was in New York. And I was like, how is that even possible?
No, it wasn't worse there than it was in New York. New York was orange yesterday. New Jersey was orange yesterday. We were like drastically unhealthy, and today we're still in unhealthy air.
No, I'm talking about the numbers. Like when I looked at the numbers, it was
because I know
Maryland was higher.
I know today alone, New Jersey in my area was in like the 200s. And I told my mother,
Yeah, it was.
I said, she went outside, I said, where's your mask? What are you doing? My neighbor rode his bike because he goes to the methadone clinic. And because it was going to take him an hour, I said, he don't need to be out there riding no bike in this. And I told my coworker today, I don't think this is smoke. Like, there's no way. And she said, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. We're not going to go into this. I said, that's just fine. Wear your mask.
That is nuts. I had no idea that was going on.
Yeah, it started yesterday from my understanding, and um when I heard that it had reached down to Virginia, I said, no, that's not. I felt like it was something we talked about some time ago, and when the pandemic was going on, and so be mindful to be careful because I feel like that some of this energy from Saturn, the placement that it's in, it can cause lockdowns. And it really is a signature of saying that, even if it's just smoke, that Saturn is saying it's time to sit in a home and reflect on some things. Because Saturn is in a position that it did, or it was similarly when the lockdown came, and the signs are there. It doesn't have to be the same, but it's calling people to have to be inside. And so it's something to think about, where people don't think, because I'm not sure who it was. Someone was saying to me today, well, it's something that's not right, because even California had the wildfires, and they definitely didn't reach over here. The fires over there was bad, and that smoke didn't reach over here. And we're right connected to California. That's why they have the rivers, that opened up for the electricity for Hoover Dam and all of that, because here, Colorado, and I can't remember the other state, Colorado, California, and the other state, I can't remember it. They're connected, Nevada. They're connected, and they share water and energy. So, whether you're a conspiracy theory thought person, there's something wrong. There's something not right with that. So God bless everybody to take caution so that they don't get caught off guard. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.